Good morning, Aynsley, and welcome to the Leaders Who Care series.
Good morning. So great to be here.
Um, we were just talking about how to say your last name because I think our names come from same ancestry or whatever, and I would have said Chesniak, but you say it is what exactly?
Szczesniak, Aynsley Szczesniak.
Cool. Well, that's so much easier, Aynsley Szczesniak. So welcome. We're so glad to have you on I guess what we call the Leaders Who Care youth part of the series to really highlight young people like you that are really making an impact out there and bringing us inspiration in a world that's that interesting times also. So, but why don't we start with briefly introducing yourself, mostly in this case, like where you're from originally, where you are now, family, um, something you've never told anybody you want to tell the world now. That's always interesting. You don't have to do that, but it's always cool. And so tell us about Aynsley.
Awesome. Yeah. So I am currently a sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill. I grew up in sort of the Apex area for the majority of middle school, early high school. I was born in Georgia, moved around a bunch, so I really sort of traveled the East Coast, and then ultimately landed in Massachusetts, which is where I applied to college. So I'm like technically out of state, but I am so much a North Carolina girl at heart. Like it's not even funny. So that's sort of where I'm from, and I love it here at UNC. I mean, it's such a fantastic community, and every person I talk to has that same like glowing sort of glowing commentary on how like everybody here really wants to support you. So I'm really happy that I found that here, especially as a pre-med, where it's so easy to sort of dissolve into that pre-med competition, but here there it's never like that, which I really appreciate. Um, Other things about me. I I have a dog who is absolutely spoiled, but I mean, they deserve to be, right? She
Yes.
is a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, super, super cute. And like, she is my little bundle of joy who always greets me when I come home for the holidays. So, always happy to see her.
What's her
Um,
name?
Her name is Shelby.
Shelby.
And yeah, she was my mom's like Mother's Day gift because my mom has always wanted a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. So my mom named her. She's my mom's little baby. My mom walks her, plays with her, etc. And it's so cute to see. um,
But
yeah, other than that,
when you come home, your welcome is amazing, right?
yes, oh my gosh. Like I love to send my friends videos of like how like just she's just jumping all over the place because it's funny with dogs where it's like 1 minute they'll be like so energetic and then the next minute you're just like trying to get them out of the door and they will not budge. So like that sort of dichotomy of personalities is the funniest thing.
It's like setting their guidelines, setting their opinions or whatever. I don't know.
Right?
You have
Oh,
siblings?
this girl is so opinionated. Oh my gosh.
Do you have siblings?
I do, yes. I have one brother. And it's funny because it's like we're both science people, but he is like the exact opposite of me. I'm medicine, I'm math, I'm like biology. He's environmental science and ecology and all that. So, like, if there was ever a requirement to like write a textbook on all the possible areas of science, I could write one half and he could write the other. That's basically sort of how our interests lie. So it's kind of funny talking in conversations with him about like the classes that he's taking because obviously we have like very different um, approaches to the same concepts of like human progress and what areas of scientific research are most like most cutting edge now.
Well, it could be a
Yeah,
lot
so
different if he was an attorney.
yeah, no, seriously. He wants to go into like environmental justice and stuff, which is obviously very pertinent for the time that we live in. But yeah, I neither of us have ever been really drawn to like the social sciences in the sense of like government or legal. We're very much STEM people, and I love that.
Yeah, we're good. We're good with STEM also. So what were you guys like as kids? And then, as little kids, now that you're big kids, what were you like as little kids?
So it's funny because like I right now am very like confident, extroverted. I consider myself like an introvert with extroverted tendencies. But it's funny because like in middle school and even like early high school, I was so shy. Like I did musical theater, and at the beginning of my musical theater career, around the beginning of middle school, I was so shy. Like I would not sing in front of anybody. I barely like could act in front of anybody. But the funny thing is, the beautiful thing about musical theater is over time, as I got more comfortable with the medium, as I got more comfortable with performing in front of people, I started to build that confidence, and it did sort of seep into my everyday life too. Because obviously, I'm very confident when I'm talking with people. I speak up probably more often than I should, but somebody's got to. I yeah, and I'm not afraid to go out and just talk to people, even if I don't know them. Those are all sort of qualities that have developed in me over time. And it's funny, it's like if the little Ainsley from like 10 years ago could look at me now and be like, "Who are you?" Because I'm so different. I just think it's because of the environments that I've been able to be in that have sort of cultivated
Yeah,
that
that
that confidence in me.
yeah, that usually has an impact. So you're at, UNC Chapel Hill, as you mentioned, earning your bachelor's in biology. Um,
Mhm.
Someone really well wrote this. He said, I'm a proactive STEMinist and proud science nerd, and I intend to pursue a dual career as a trailblazer for women in STEM and a practicing physician in women's health, which is awesome. When did you begin to envision this for yourself?
So I've been pre-med since the day I could walk. So that was never sort of a negotiable. My dad is a physician, and so our dinner conversations would often be about like the cases that he was working on. And so I grew up with words like pap smear and lymphocyte and what are
At
some
the
other
dinner
things?
table,
And
pap
like,
smears.
yes, why not? Why
Nice.
not? I mean, and the thing is, like, I grew up with those. I had when I was in middle school, I had like a notebook of like all my favorite medical words, just because like I don't know, why not? Erythrocyte was one of my favorites. Um, and like so, medicine has always sort of been a part of me, and that's never going to change. I
You
love
must be
the
you
fact
must be good
that
at sorry to interrupt. You must be good at Scrabble.
oh my gosh. No, actually, my family and I, we would play Scrabble all the time. My dad is usually the best, but I've beat him like a few times. And so that's really fun. But yeah, I love Scrabble. Yeah, like when I was in high school, I started really getting interested in pediatrics. So I did a lot of things with kids. I worked at a kids museum, best 2 years of my life, so much fun. Um, I worked with like some different nonprofits that supported kids in the Massachusetts area. And so I came into college being like, I'm going to do pediatrics. And it helped that with college applications, you kind of had to focus in on what sort of was your underlying theme that you wanted people to take away from you. And so I really kind of focused on the empowering kids thing. But once I came into college and I started getting more involved in like women's empowerment stuff, which I'll get to in a second, I realized like, oh, this is something that I would really love to also integrate with my pre-med interests. And I've been doing some shadowing some different departments of women's health. And
Nice.
one that I'm really enjoying is reproductive endocrinology, which is sort of this niche field that's really cool. And it's all about like embryo transplants and egg retrievals and infertility treatments and all of that. And I love it because it's like a perfect mix of like there's a little bit of surgery, there's a little bit of psychology, there's obviously reproductive health and obviously endocrinology. There's regenerative medicine even. And I love that it's sort of like a mix of everything I was interested in before like sort of going die hard pediatrics. Um,
So
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 that's
so
one of my thoughts right now.
no, it's amazing. You were in pre-med even since you were little. That's actually
Basically.
hilarious. One thing I love about how you're talking is, and we talk about this a lot, that in the world these days, we have to make almost everything personal because
Mhm.
it's very easy. For example, you hear two people died and you say not bad, that type of scenario. We're getting numb on things, but if we have to make things so
Yeah.
personal, reproductive rates, almost like people used to say, put yourself in someone else's shoes, make it so personal
Mhm.
that actually actions happen and decisions are made and things like that, rather than it's just a topic or a statistic and whatnot.
Yeah.
Can you share about some of the initiatives I saw that you've been engaged on and the impact you've made, the what you've learned, starting with, for example, you founded Speak Out Sisterhood, and you named yourself the CEO. Good thing a founder can do. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this actually just ties in perfectly with the whole like women in STEM trailblazer part of what I want to do with my life. So I found Speak Out Sisterhood a little over a year ago, and it was meant to sort of address a problem that I was seeing where I got to college and I saw, and I'd already seen this in the high school too, but how many young women like myself cared so deeply about these issues that were going to affect us once we entered STEM ourselves. Things like the gender pay gap, gender bias, sexual harassment, all these things that we knew were pervasive issues in STEM. And as young women who were eventually going to go into STEM careers, we wanted to see changed, not only for the women who currently exist in the field, but also for the women like us who are going into the field and don't want to have to deal with the same issues and barriers to ascension that other women have had to deal with. So I saw that in my friends and just in other people I knew. And at the same time, I also saw how there were so many organizations that were doing such great work to empower women and diversify STEM, but didn't really seem to be hitting the mark on what I thought was the most important part, which is giving young women that space and that power to get to make a real impact. There's it's funny, like for instance, I don't remember what, I think it's the World Health Organization or something. They have a young professionals program and you have to have like a master's degree. And it's like that's not young professional. Give me a chance to actually do something as like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old. Because not only does that actually move our mission forward, it also builds those skills of confidence and public speaking and self-advocacy that are so necessary for leadership later on. So all of that being said, I found this big house sisterhood to sort of close that gap and bring these young people into these spaces where they're having conversations with representatives of these major companies, where they're actually coming up with ideas, where they're talking with people who are deeply affected by these issues, and they're coming up with solutions to then pitch to our company partners. I love the work that we do, and we run a program twice a year. And it's just so exciting to see the way that we've had such enthusiasm, not only from our interns, but also from people looking to become part of our leadership team. Because I think it strikes a chord in a lot of young women, which is we want to have the power to create the destiny that we want to live in, create the world that we want to live in, and the world that we want to lead in. And it's really kind of unique to have a chance like the one that we provide, which is you actually get to do hands-on work to move that mission forward.
Yeah, I love it. Our firm was launched actually 6 years ago on International Day of the Women at the UN headquarters on women leadership and women empowerment, et cetera, et cetera. And our first event ever was hosting young women, young girls, potential entrepreneurs in Delhi, India, and supporting them. So I get it, and I so love the fact that you say it should be when you're younger to get these experiences. And there's a young man, Ethan, that we have on our Leaders Who Care, who's 13, and he promotes literacy among young people. And you should read, and he speaks at schools and whatnot. And I asked him once, "Why do you do what you do?" And he said, "I want to help the next generation." I said, "Dude, you're 13. You are the next generation." And he said, "Yeah, but there's the even earlier than me that need to get those experiences." So it's right on
Mhm.
what you're talking about. You don't want to start getting all that when you're 30 necessarily.
Yeah,
It's like way before. And that actually helps you define what you want to do, maybe even more by seeing different
exactly.
things and stuff like that. You talked about the reproductive health project, access project, and you interned there. Share a little bit more about what you learned there and why that was important.
I love this job so much. I started interning with RAP over the summer, sort of like my summer internship. And I loved it so much and I loved the team so much that I like basically begged them to stay on into the semester. And so luckily they were able to let me stay on. We're a small team, a small nonprofit, but we have a massive network of clinicians that we sort of monitor and organize and keep connected. And it's such a beautiful sort of concept of RAP because it's the work that we do is all about empowering clinicians to provide accessible, inclusive reproductive health care. So that's abortion care, EPL care, and contraceptive care mostly. And it's very unique because it's all about how, if you're a clinician already working in primary care, how can you take the next step to bring reproductive health care into your practice? Because you are the one who has the most power. You're the one talking to the patient. You're the one who has the connections. And so getting to work, I work in communications. And so I've sort of specialized in particularly communicating with our clinician audience, translating our materials and some of our more kind of heavy duty financial materials, for instance, templates for like organizational statements and all that. And it's just been such a great learning experience getting to not only really sift through the vast array of resources that rap has, but also at the same time synthesizing them and understanding what's most important to communicate to clinicians. Because not only am I, getting to further the outreach for our mission, I'm also learning so much myself about this field, which is one that I might go into one day. And so I'm a huge proponent of like the importance of scientific people to learn how to communicate, especially impactfully. And through this internship, I really learned it's hard. It's really hard to communicate with a mission in mind because you have to really think about the words you're using, the sort of the vibe you're giving off with the tone that you're giving. And I used to be a person who
Mhm.
kind of just threw something together and tossed it out for the world to see. But now I'm very more deliberate with like, what are these words actually conveying? Who is my audience? And I really appreciate the fact that this internship has taught me how to do that because I know it'll be impactful later.
Yeah, that's brilliant because you see, not getting to politics per se, but you see with patients and just the general public, decisions are made based on what people think, and people hope to have people representing or caring for them, and whatnot, that know what we don't know, because and words matter, and how you communicate them, and how do you get the trust of the person, your patient, your
Mhm.
partner, your whatever. So. Yeah, it's brilliant, and because everybody just wants to be able to trust and be able to be cared
Yeah.
for. So communications are key, and sometimes I think we all forget. We use acronyms, we use this, we use that, we say different things, and no one has a clue what we're talking about.
Oh, I just did that when I said EPL care denied, early pregnancy loss.
And you said rap
But
too, so I thought you were going to go into
yes,
it when I said rap.
it's
um,
funny, yeah, because it's like I feel like it's also because we live in such a productivity culture where we're just like throwing out acronyms and trying to get messages out as fast as possible, maybe not thinking as much about what is this actually going to do when I, say it or put it out there for the world to see. And I think
yeah,
it's something that we all need to work on a little bit more, thinking about the impact of our words.
well, and going back to the everything is personal thing, think about what your audience is hearing when you say what you're saying, and
Yeah.
and it makes sense. So you're also the co-founder of UNC's undergrad chapter of the American Medical Student Association. And it's fascinating because one of our clients and a friend of mine is Dr. Patrice Harris, who was the first African American woman president of the American Medical Association, period.
Yay.
So look her up, Patrice Harris. She's fantastic, and she also loves a lot of the subjects you're talking about. She's also now the CEO of a telehealth company, and
Awesome.
stuff. So really important. But tell us what you do with that.
So I first sort of got involved with AMSA when I went to their conference in April or in May. And I loved it. Like I didn't realize, like I don't know how I didn't know about AMSA before being so diehard pre-med I am, but I love the fact that they really center this idea that a physician is a leader and um,
Mm,
getting to sort of explore how myself as a physician and a aspiring physician can also become involved with making medicine more equitable and more diverse and all of that was really exciting. And so I was like, we have to bring this to UNC. Also, UNC is like 90% pre-med. So I was like, how is this like not already here? So it's kind of like this just it makes sense. It has to be here. So a few of my friends and I who are also pre-med, we decided to found the chapter, and it's definitely been a rocky road because with UNC, there's some very specific like things you have to do. And so one of the things that we did not get, we were not successful enough to be one of the 40 clubs that got registered student organization status this semester. So we're going to try again next semester. But in the meantime, we're just planning things that we want to do next semester to sort of build a presence on campus. And so it's been really fun because it's again sort of one of the things that we're doing is thinking a lot about deliberate messaging because AMSA does have a lot of advocacy arms. And so we're trying to make sure that the advocacy that we do and sort of the messaging that we put out there still aligns not only with AMSA's mission and purpose, but then also make sure it's not overstepping because we are on a campus that's very like politically volatile sometimes. And so that's been really interesting, those conversations that we've been having. But yeah, I'm really excited to have it being launched, and we've had a lot of excitement as well because AMSA is really unique in the sense that, first of all, AMSA itself, AMSA National, this is just a plug for AMSA National now, but has so many resources. Like, it's insane. The website, you could literally spend all day searching this website. They have so many institutional partnerships. They have like Kaplan discounts, which as a pre-med is very nice. They have like so many, they have programs, they have mentorship opportunities, they have like speaker series. It's fantastic. And to get plugged into a community like that, that just has such a wealth of resources, is so invaluable. And so we're trying to bring that to our campus too, because it's so easy to get um, to not know where to go if you don't have somebody to guide you on being a pre-med. And
Yeah.
what we want to do is bring these resources to people who deserve them.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll be the president of National after that plug. But
Annalise, make me your successor. No,
you know,
the current president is fantastic. I love her so much. And like that's the other thing. They're such great people. Like they are so supportive. Everybody at the conference was just like, "Oh my gosh, we're so excited to see you. Yeah, definitely like we'll help you start the chapter." And so
well,
when you find an organization like that where the people are like so dedicated to it, you know you found something golden.
yeah, no doubt. And relationships, there's a lot of tech going on and AI going on. It's changing the world, and it will change healthcare maybe more than anything.
Yes.
But relationships and human beings and personal relationships in that sense are still going to be, the top of the hill, and what you need to access more knowledge and to be able to get stuff done.
Mhm.
They say that if you want to get something done, give it to somebody that's busy already. So how do you manage all this stuff?
I kind of like we were talking about earlier, compartmentalizing is really helpful. So I sort of tend to dedicate my mornings to doing like emails and catch up work. Um, we have meetings weekly for the different sort of teams on my nonprofit. So usually I'll pop into those, and that kind of puts me in the mindset of, okay, this is finance. Let's think about finance for a little bit right now. I have a weekly exec meeting too, which is kind of where I just sort of info dump on my team and be like, hey, here's everything that's going on in my brain right now. What are your thoughts? Which is really helpful. And then I've learned over time, especially as a college student, how to sort of manage my energy levels and also what I need to do. So for instance, I know that like I need to get started studying on something a few days in advance. So then I have like I'm not stressed out. I have the time to sort of marinate in the thoughts and the topic. And so I'll sort of plan that out ahead of time. And I also learned like I need to give myself breaks. Like I can't just go,
Right.
go, go constantly. There are some days where I just have meeting after meeting because that's just what happened. But then there are other days that I specifically allot to give myself. Like, okay, you're gonna just take the entire afternoon and just relax and do what you want, or like meet up with a friend for coffee or something. Like then that's sort of my recharge to get me to the next thing. Um, but I think part of it is just really being in tune with myself and knowing like, oh, I have an exam tomorrow. I need to block off tonight to study for it, or else like, I'm just gonna worry about it and not be able to focus. But then also obviously I need to study for this thing. So like planning things out in advance, looking at what I
Yeah.
need to do is really, really helpful.
And, speaking to a medical person, our mental health, our well-being become paramount. Without
Mm,
your health, you can't really do much anyway.
yeah,
So, and our bodies are really smart. They kind of tell us what's going on.
yeah,
And with AI and everything coming on super strong, there will be opportunities that a lot of different things will be able to be handled by AI. And then how do you manage
yes,
that, as well? So, bottom line is you got to take care of yourself to get stuff done, and
yeah,
and have those relationships with other people that can help at the same time. We say one of the things we say in Los Angeles is we have to keep people wanting more so that we can do a sequel. So we may have to do a sequel, but I do want to ask you one other point on this part. The pandemic was in 2020, impacted people greatly, and maybe woke up some people as to certain things too. But in 2021, one of my clients told me, he said, the year 2020 was the year that flew by slowly. And it was really fascinating because
uh,
it's an oxymoron almost. But we sometimes feel like the pandemic was yesterday and years ago, all at
hmm
the same time. And
yeah.
now we're already at the end of year 2024, which is amazing. Um, Thinking about all that, what are you most grateful for? And also, what are you most hopeful for?
In terms of what I'm grateful for, this is something I'm just grateful for every day, which is the people that surround me and the people in my life. I think that kind of what we were talking about before is you need people in your life who can be there in all your different times. You need people there to support you when you're broken, and you need somebody to help you build you back together, and you need people who can be there to celebrate your wins and keep you going forward. And so I have been lucky enough to find people like that here at UNC, and then also obviously in high school, but particularly here at UNC, because obviously the transition to college is a massive step. And my freshman year was very rocky because I didn't know anybody here, and I knew like maybe two people from like living here in the past, but um, obviously that was eons ago. And so slowly building relationships with people and slowly understanding like these are the people that I would love to have in my life forever because they have just been so supportive of me. Though that's what I'm just always grateful for. Because I think the thing that I've realized also is that like you have like it sort of makes me realize like if I hadn't come to UNC I maybe have never met this person, and like we wouldn't have been able to build the bond that we have, and like I wouldn't be able to have these memories that I have with this person. And so I think I tend to be an introvert sometimes, so like I can't constantly be around people, but I do
Right.
recognize that there are people who I desperately need in my life, not just because like, oh, I need you to get me this job, but just because they are so therapeutic for me, getting to be with people like them and getting to just have somebody that I know I can talk to without any judgment or any fear of like, oh, I'm gonna go post this secret on Instagram that Andrew just told me.
Yeah, that shouldn't
And
be the reason. Exactly.
yeah, there was this thing that I saw on Instagram a while back that I absolutely loved, and it was talking about like how um like we all need people who are our human medicine. And I love that because it's like it exactly speaks to what I'm so grateful for, which is having people who I know can be my human medicine and support me through moments when I'm stuck in my own head. As I feel like a lot of ambitious people do sort of dissolve sometimes into those feelings of like I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, I didn't do this right, why isn't this working? And so having an amazing network and community of people who who care about me and want to help me through those times of crisis is something I will always be grateful for. um and then the in terms of what I'm hopeful for, I don't know, a lot of what I'm hopeful for are more like societal systemic things like
Right.
seeing that the work of my nonprofit hopefully does pay off a little bit. um, I think one of the things I'm just mostly hopeful for is seeing the other people in my life succeed, because I know a lot of young women like myself who have huge dreams, and it brings me such joy to see them achieving so much. I'm sort of a mentor to a few younger women, and they have huge dreams about like, oh, I want to get this degree and I want to go to this college, or yeah, this college because I'm in high school, and then I want to go to this law school and etc. And just my hope is that they get to achieve all the dreams that they have set for themselves, because as much as it is exciting to obviously achieve your own dreams, I feel like it's exponentially more exciting to see somebody you care about achieve their dream.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you'll find that out with kids too at some point, hopefully in your life, where
Yes.
you're amazed on how your kids' accomplishments far surpass how excited you are about your own accomplishments. So
Hmm.
you're getting that feel. And I also love that you talk about human medicine, because we're talking now a lot about food as medicine. And I think human medicine is great alongside that. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing all that. That's fantastic. And thanks for being on the Leaders Who Care series.
Thank you so much. This was so great to talk to you. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.